Should nothing of our efforts stand, no legacy survive, unless the Lord does raise the house in vain, its builders strive. To you who boast tomorrow's gain, tell me, what is your life? A mist that vanishes at dawn, all glory be to Christ.
Thank you for listening to today's edition of the Open Bible Podcast. My name is Ethan Jones, and today I'll be your host. Today is number 26 in our daily devotional series through the Proverbs for this month of January. The series has been challenging to make, but even more than that, it has been encouragement as a devotional tool in my own walk with the Lord. It's so important that all of us be pouring into the Word, diving deep and seeking biblical wisdom. And I've been encouraged to hear that this series has been serving so many of you well, and I'm grateful for how God has been at work in this season. As always, our hope is that this series would serve to edify the servants of God in Ponoka and beyond, and anyone really who is listening today. So wherever you are today, whoever you are, my prayer is that today's study would deepen your love for God and your desire to be conformed to His image. So I'll invite you to hear these words with me of Solomon in today's reading from Proverbs 26. It reads that like snow in summer or rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool. Like a sparrow in its flitting, like a swallow in its flying, a curse that is causeless does not alight. A whip for a horse, a bridle for a donkey, and a rod for the back of fools. Answer not a fool according to his folly, lest you be like him yourself. Answer a fool according to his folly, lest he be wise in his own eyes. Whoever sends a message by the hand of a fool cuts off his own feet and drinks violence. Like a lame man's legs, which hang useless, is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Like one who binds the stone in the sling is one who gives honor to a fool. Like a thorn that goes up from the hand of a drunkard is a proverb in the mouth of fools. Like an archer who wounds everyone is one who hires passing fool or drunkard. Like a dog that returns to his vomit is a fool who repeats his folly. Do you see a man who is wise in his own eyes? There's more hope for a fool than him. The sluggard says, there's a lion in the road, there's a lion in the streets. As a door turns on its hinges, so does a sluggard on his bed. The sluggard buries his hand in the dish. It wears him out to bring it back to his mouth. The sluggard is wiser in his own eyes than 7 men who can answer sensibly. Whoever meddles in quarrels not his own is like the one who takes a passing dog by the ears. Like a madman who throws firebrands, arrows, and death is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I'm only joking. For lack of wood, the fire goes out, and where there is no whisperer, quarreling cease. As charcoal to hot embers and wood to fire, so is a quarrelsome man for kindling strife. The words of a whisperer are like delicious morsels. They go down into inner parts of the body. Like the glaze covering an earthen vessel are fervent lips with an evil heart. Whoever hates disguises himself with those lips and harbors deceit in his heart. When he speaks graciously, believe him not, for there are 7 abominations in his heart. Though his hatred be covered with deception, his wickedness will be exposed in the assembly. Whoever digs a pit will fall into it, and a stone will come back on him who starts it rolling. A lying tongue hates victims, and a flattering mouth works ruin. Now, when I was a kid, I remember playing this game where there was a bin full of blocks of different shapes, and you would empty the blocks into the floor, and put them back through a lid with various shapes cut onto it. It is one of the most basic games. It's a very simple game, but it teaches children a valuable lesson. The square block does not fit through the triangle hole. The triangle block does not fit through the circle hole. The star block does not fit through the rectangle hole, and so on and so forth. As we grow up, we begin to learn and be able to discern right from wrong. 1 + 1 does not equal 6. It is not a fun game to touch a hot stove. As we grow, we start to be able to tell what is right from wrong. And part of that is seeing when something does not quite fit. Just like a square block in the round hole, it's exactly the same what Solomon drives home in today's passage. Like snow in summer or rain in harvest, so honor is not fitting for a fool. To give honor to the wicked, it's like snow in the summer. It's without sense. There is nothing in the fool worthy of honor. So why give it? So Solomon tells us as well, answer not a fool according to his folly, lest ye be like him. So don't join in the wicked talk of the fool. It only creates more folly, and it makes you to be a fool. But let's remember again what David says in the first Psalm. Blessed is the one who does not walk in step with the wicked, or stand in the way that sinners take, or sit in the company of mockers, but whose delight is in the law of the Lord, and who meditates on his law day and night. That person is like a tree planted in the stream of water, which yields its fruit in season, and whose leaf does not wither. Whatever they do prospers. Not so the wicked. They are like chaff. The wind blows away. Therefore the wicked will not stand in the judgment, nor sinners in the assembly of the righteous. For the Lord watches over the way of the righteous, but the way of the wicked leads to destruction. So if you are to delight in the Lord, it means consequently not standing in the counsel of the wicked. Why would you fill your company with evil if your heart is towards righteousness? It does not follow. We are told much in this passage about what it looks like to be a fool, what their life looks like. They are dishonest, they're quarrelsome, flattering, they're sluggish. The fool cannot be trusted and should not be paid honor as it's not due. And Solomon drives home all throughout this passage, take no part in their works, have nothing to do with the works of darkness. And let me draw a distinction here. This does not mean that we do not interact at all with the lost in the world, the enemies of God. Jesus sets an example for us, going to the lost, eating with sinners, calling out from their brokenness those enslaved to sin. Even the Pharisees, who he called the brood of vipers, he called them. But recognize as well that Jesus had the crowds, and then he had the disciples, who were his closest friends. There was a distinction. We're told by Paul not to be yoked with unbelievers. For what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? And as many of you will know, the term yoke refers to the bar that was often attached to the necks of the oxen as they plowed the fields. To be unequally yoked would be for one ox to be pushing less strong than the other. So if you put this in the context of your relationship with God, why would you tie yourself to someone who is not pursuing Christ with as much zeal as you, or even close to the same amount of zeal, or any zeal at all for that matter? To join yourself with an unbeliever, or a fool as Solomon puts it, that makes no sense at all for the believer. So I'd encourage you today to be very careful in your relationships. Be careful not to take part in or encourage the works of darkness by bringing that into your closest circle of friends and associations. Pour into fruitful relationships, the ones where you can strengthen another while you are also being strengthened in your walk with the Lord, as iron sharpens iron. It is so important. There's a fine line between calling the lost and joining the lost. So take care, seek wisdom, And as you do that, trust God to guide you and to give you discernment. Blessings on you all.